lead agency for Austin Travis County. And what that means is that we bring people together to address homelessness here in Austin. And we report out what's happening in our community, the good and the bad. This is a transparent conversation about things that we're doing really well and things that we have to continue to address. But first, before we get started, I want to thank the ACL staff, Sharice, Jen, all y'all in the back, in a really short order, came together and was able to support us with this incredible venue in the heart of downtown. There's not much that says Austin to people that aren't from here than Austin city limits. And so this is a really iconic place, and we're really, really blessed to be here, so thank you. I also want to thank Hannah Kofer, who helped us coordinate this site together. So Hannah, thank you for being here, the work you're doing, and thank you for all your support. I want to recognize the elected officials in the room, and then also some key city staff. So I want to thank Councilmember Vella for being here. Obviously, we're going to hear from Mayor Watson, Mayor Pro Tem Fuentes. We're going to hear from Judge Andy Brown, so thank you, Judge, for being here. Travis County Commissioner Ann Howard and former Executive Director at ECHO, thank you for all your work and for being here. It's great to see you. Former Mayor Steve Adler here, thank you, Steve, for being here and taking time out of your day to be here with us. I want to also recognize City Manager T.C. Broadnax, Deputy City Manager John Fortune, Chief of Staff Genesis Cavino, and of course, Assistant City Manager Stephanie Hayden Howard, who will remember back in 2019 when a lot of our charts were looking a little bit different than they do today. So it's good to see you, Stephanie. Thanks for being here. All right, so what an awesome group we have assembled here. The people in this room make up some of the most hardworking and purpose-driven people in Austin Travis County. The theme for me as we roll out this project and this report is recognition. There is, of course, the recognition that there is hard and courageous work ahead to continue to build on the successes we saw in 2024. The results of our homelessness response system produced in 2024 show that a mix of long-term investments paired with immediate relief for people living on our streets and an intentional effort to prevent at-risk households from becoming homeless has led to a more effective and efficient system. To address homelessness in Austin Travis County. I lost my spot. Thank you. The recognition begins with the providers that are doing the work to end homelessness in our community. Those providing emergency services to people in the streets and in our shelters. Providers building permanent housing for the most vulnerable of all Austinites. The healthcare providers bringing life-saving medications, wound care, and supports for substance use and mental health conditions. Recognition to the public and private funders of the work, helping to fund and support the infrastructure and programming that has impacted tens of thousands of lives. Recognition for the community volunteers and advocates that show up to serve meals and provide outreach supplies. People that help to highlight the voices of impacted people in our community so that they're part of the conversation and part of creating the solutions. Everybody in this room and far beyond has played a role in building trust in our homelessness response system. Every interaction counts. Most importantly, recognition for the people still battling to stay alive and connected in our streets every day, overcoming impossible odds day in and day out. People who work to stay connected to outreach and shelter teams. People wondering where they'll get the next rent payment from. People who made their way off the streets and out of our shelters to live in housing of their own with access to many of the comforts that we rightfully take for granted. We recognize and honor you and will continue to fight alongside you for the justice you deserve. So now we're going to get on with our program. I want to introduce Mayor of Austin, Mayor Kirk Watson. Mayor Watson has led the creation of our Homelessness Operations and Strategy Office. That's a new branded title. Investment in emergency services. For the first time under Mayor Watson, our point in time count had more sheltered individuals than unsheltered folks in Austin. That's a big deal. He's shepherded important investments to make sure that the entirety of our homelessness response system is funded to scale and he's continued to champion the work of our homeless service providers and those in need of services on our streets. So Mayor Watson, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Matt, and I think you did that in just under 2 minutes. It's great to be here with you, and thank you, and I look forward to this report. And I'm pleased that we have the city manager and the deputy city manager, assistant city manager, the chief of staff. I'm very happy that former Mayor Adler is here with us, because what we're celebrating today, and there's good news in this, real good news, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Everybody's going to talk about it, I think. But the good news is that this is something that we've been building towards, so I'm pleased to see the people that are here today. Let me start with that. Today is a day about good news, because the report you're going to hear more detail about proves and reveals that there is real meaningful progress in addressing our community's needs when it comes to serving people living homeless. The structure, the clarity that our homeless response system is providing is making a big difference. And while he'll speak to you a little bit later, I think it's important for us to notice and note David Gray and his excellent team that is here with us today. Let's give them a round of applause. We can see that the work that they're doing has put us in a position where we are managing and monitoring contracts better, and this is the work of the manager's office helping us with that. We're working closer and better, I believe, with our nonprofit community, and we're doing a better job when it comes to providing outreach. And David and his team deserve the credit for that. I also want to say thanks to, and you're going to hear from the Mayor Pro Tem, who chairs also our Public Health Committee, which we run so much of the homeless activity through, and so I'm very pleased that she's going to speak to you today. But in addition to that, Councilmember Vela and the entire City Council, in the way that they have supported the planning process and have also importantly supported the funding necessary so that we can carry out that plan. And that is part of what you're going to see in the good news here today, is that we're planning for it and we're funding. As has been pointed out, the number of people who became homeless decreased for the first time in 5 years. Think about that. I'm going to repeat that. The number of people who became homeless decreased for the first time in 5 years. And I would also say that after years of investing, including years of investing when Mayor Adler was mayor and you had a different council and others, after years of investing and growing that investment, we are now at a point where we're seeing the difference in those investments in the continuum of our response system, and it's finally growing to meet our overall needs. More beds, more units are available now. We're moving more people into permanent supportive housing quicker, and you'll hear that in this report as well. The system overall is more efficient, and as a result of that, you get the sort of progress that's mentioned in that tagline. You get the progress that we want. Again, I want to emphasize a key part of this. The planning and funding is very important. This council voted for a budget that fully funds the support system. But we need the help to make sure we have all of that funding. So I kick off the day by being encouraged by the progress. I will say out loud that we're not where we want to be yet, although we are celebrating progress today. But the evidence is, the clear evidence is that what we're doing and the investments we're making are having a positive impact. And that is the report from this activity and what you're going to hear about today. So thank you very much to Matt and Echo. Thanks for all of you all being here and caring so deeply about this. I get asked frequently why I am putting so much energy into this? And the answer is pretty simple. We have a humanitarian crisis in our city. Most of the issues and challenges this town faces that are our biggest challenges come as a result of great success in our city. This one is not one of those. This is a humanitarian crisis that requires our continued focus. The report today tells you we are making progress, but we still have a way to go. Matt, thank you all, and thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor Watson. I think just the show of the unity around having all of these people in one place that are involved in policy, that are involved in implementing the policy. This is a huge win for our cause and our community. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Mayor Watson, for your remarks. It is now my pleasure to introduce our county judge, Andy Brown. County Judge Brown has been laser focused on mental health and substance treatment support. He's helped to lift up the Diversion Center pilot, the first of its kind in Austin, Travis County, and there's work happening to realize a standalone diversion center for folks who are experiencing mental health and substance treatment challenges. Mental health and substance treatment support is our high needs, and that's reflected in our report amongst the population that we serve here. And I also want to recognize that with the American Rescue Plan Act, the county funded more than $100 million for permanent supportive housing capital and support to emergency services like Camp Esperanza. So Judge Brown, thank you for being here, and looking forward to hear from you.
Awesome, thanks, Matt. And it's good to be here talking about some good news. It's welcome here. So over the past few years, Commissioner Ann Howard and myself and the rest of the Commissioners Court have made historic intentional investments, not just to manage homelessness, but also to help reduce it by trying to target some of the root causes of it. And that work is showing real measurable progress. And today I'm especially proud to share an update on one of the things that Matt just mentioned, one of the cornerstones of the county's contribution to that effort, which is the Supportive Housing Initiative Pipeline, or as we like to call it, SHIP. Travis County invested over $120 million, and this is money that we got from the federal government, from the Biden administration as part of the Rescue Plan Act. And we invested that $120 million to help build housing for people in need. And this was done through 11 unique public-private partnerships, creating nearly 1,800 units of housing, shelter, and treatment options for people experiencing homelessness in our community. I'm proud to share that all 11 projects under the Travis County SHIP program, including the Urban League that Mayor Adler and others, and Commissioner Howard and others in here really helped get over the finish line. All 11 projects under the Travis County SHIP program have now closed, and 10 of them are actively under construction. So a few of those are Foundation Communities Juniper Creek, which is already 100% complete and expected to lease up by the end of this year. Caritas's Carn Point, which is 90% complete and will welcome residents early next year. The other one foundation's Esperanza Communities already housing people while continuing to build more units, and the rest are progressing with an expected completion date by mid-2027. But it's more than bricks and mortar. We're helping change lives as a community. Our local homelessness response system is growing to match the needs of our community, and thanks to investments in solutions that we know that work, there are hundreds of new beds today that did not exist this time last year, both shelter and permanent housing beds. And this means more options for folks to get the help that they need. But we have to keep building, we have to keep improving, and we have to keep pushing, because every unhoused person deserves a safe place to call home. And the good news is that, as you heard, that fewer people are becoming unhoused for the first time. So we're going to keep focusing on preventing homelessness, because we know that's how we'll build a system that works for everyone. Just want to focus a little bit on the mental health side. We have a pilot that's up and running. I know a lot of y'all were there yesterday, working with the city and Integral Care and Central Health and others to have a pilot for a mental health diversion program that's up and running now and has been for a little bit. Hopefully adding an involuntary component to that, because I think that's an important piece of that. and then building a permanent mental health diversion center over the next few years in partnership with a lot of folks who are in this room. So thanks so much for having me. We have made some great strides, as you're going to hear later from Matt, about the details of this report, but we can't take our foot off the gas. Providers are showing that when we invest in the right scale, the system works, and the solution is clear. Housing paired with services really can make a difference. So thank you all very much for all your work. Thanks for being here today, and thanks for having me. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks very much, Judge Brown. As we all know, the county is a key player in the work to end homelessness here. And again, just want to acknowledge Commissioner Ann Howard, who is from the dais, consistently pushing a focus on homelessness. And thank you, Ann, for all your work, and thank you for laying the foundation here at ECHO for us to come in and build off something that you've created. So thank you. Now, yes, thank you, Sharonda. So now I have the distinct pleasure to introduce our Mayor Pro Tem, Vanessa Fuentes. Mayor Pro Tem had I had a really unique introduction to the Mayor Pro Tem. It was her first week in office, and she called me in and she said, "I want to meet with you." And this is before we had all the homeless strategy office figured out and all the infrastructure in place to really support the city's response. And she sat down and she said, "Tell me what I need to know about homelessness, the good and the bad." And I looked at her and I said, "This is a half-hour meeting. And I'll come back or I'll send you an email that's 3 pages long." And so the Mayor Pro Tem has never been afraid to tackle homelessness issues head on from the dais in the community, shows up all the time to support our community partners, is always willing to have a constructive dialogue with her fellow council members on the dais, and was an early adopter of our State of the System report last year. And as the mayor mentioned, I think one of the key areas to making sure that we have a transparent and accountable system is to have these conversations publicly. And so to address, to have ECHO come in partnership with the Homeless Strategy Office, Homeless Strategy and Operations Office, hard to do. David's going to get me to figure it out. To have the conversation in public with the Public Health Committee to present the report so that it could be transparently viewed, and we're going to do the same this year. We're really excited about it. So Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for continuing to support our work. So come on up. Really appreciate you.
I was holding my breath there as you were recounting the first time we met. Imagine going a single day without your home, or in fact, any safe place to stay. No air conditioning, no pantry, no running water, no bed. Now imagine that being your everyday reality. That's what far too many Austinites are living through right now at this very moment. My name is Vanessa Fuentes, and I'm proud to serve as your Mayor Pro Tem and to represent District 2 on Austin City Council. I'm here today with a coalition of committed leaders who understand one simple truth. The only way we reduce homelessness is by working together. At the beginning of this year, as the mayor mentioned, we at City Council made a bold commitment, one to center homelessness in everything that we do. And that came from our Public Health Committee, which I chair. We passed a recommendation to our colleagues, which was unanimously supported. And we wanted to send a message that we must double down on what works and finish building out a robust, comprehensive, and above all, compassionate homelessness response system. And thanks to our collective efforts, we've made measurable progress. Since 2019, we've more than doubled the number of shelter beds and permanent supportive housing units in our system. And I want to give a very special recognition to Mayor Steve Adler for his strong leadership in championing those bold investments. Just an incredible legacy. I still remember when you called me to talk to me about the idea of allocating over $100 million of our ARPA dollars towards homelessness. And it was an easy yes for me. But when I go and I talk to council members all throughout the country, county, and I believe we are seeing a lot of the results we're seeing today are a indirect result of those investments. Last year alone, we moved thousands into housing with support from our local response system, and the time it takes to get people housed is shrinking. But let me be clear, the work is far from over. In fact, we still have people who are still waiting too long for housing. We're still seeing disparities, and our homelessness strategy office is still under-resourced. But as Mayor Watson mentioned, and thank you for your steadfast championing of a budget that delivers on a fully funded homelessness response system, I believe we can make significant progress on that. And what we all know is that we at the city cannot do this alone, and the fact that we are joined here today by the city, the county, and community leaders is a testament to the power of partnership. I want to thank ECHO for your leadership and data-driven approach. I want to thank our nonprofit providers for your tireless dedication, and to Travis County for standing with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I was honestly a little nervous about what I was going to say when I started down that road too, so I'm glad it ended well. So the next gentleman coming up doesn't need an introduction to this room, but the power and dedication that David Gray has brought to our community and our work to end homelessness has had a ripple effect across Austin, Travis County. I don't think we could have asked for a better ambassador for our work to have in the Homeless Strategy Office right now. He has fully embraced the community engagement and transparency that we need in our Homeless Strategy Officer. Not afraid of the hard work and works so well with ECHO and partner organizations. David shows up when we need him. And David, we're really grateful to have you here in Austin. We're really grateful that you decided to step into this role, and we're guessing it was a decision that you made. But such a powerful voice in our community, and so David, proud to introduce our Homeless Strategy Officer, David Gray.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Before I get into my remarks, I first just need to acknowledge some amazing people and amazing partners in the room. I want to begin with my Homeless Strategy Office staff. If you're here today, can you just stand really quickly, and can we just give them their flowers? I'm going to ask you to stay standing. I'm going to ask you to stay standing. Kelly, stand back up, please. Thank you, Greg. But it's not just to give you your flowers. I want you to know that I see you. You know, I grew up Southern Baptist, and we would talk about from the rising of the sun to the going down of the same, and things that happen, you know, throughout the day. And I think it's important to acknowledge that many of you are working before the sun comes up, and you're continuing the work after the sun goes down. And you're doing work at the intersection of your passion and your purpose. And that's the reason why our office is successful. It's not because of me. It's because of you and our colleagues who aren't here right now because they're out in the field working. And as you stand, I want to ask anybody in the room who represents a partner agency, a city staff, a county staff, our housing authority, or anybody who touches this work in a partnership capacity. Can you stand also, just really quickly? And I'm going to ask you to stay standing as well, because I think it's important for folks to see who is also with us in the trenches across every square inch of our 300 square mile city, from the streets to the creeks, engaging with people, providing them with access to resources and services, getting them into housing. It's not lost on us the value of our partnership and our shared commitment. So on behalf of HSO and the city of Austin, I want to say thank you. And as you stand, the last group I want to acknowledge is anybody in the room with lived experience. If you could stand up also, or maybe just raise your hand if you feel comfortable doing so. Because you bring a certain level of authenticity and accountability that enables us to do our work better. And I know that y'all aren't afraid to share your story, or at least not with me. And when I'm doing something wrong, y'all will call me and get me back on track. But I know that you're looking out for your people. It's hard to come up off these streets and get to a position of stability. And it takes a certain type of commitment to not get comfortable in your position after you've gotten out of that tough space, right? It's hard to reach back and re-enter those traumatic situations to pull somebody else up. But I appreciate you, and I want you to know that I see you. And the results that we're talking about today, it's not just because of me and Matt, it's because you bring that authenticity and that accountability to the work every day. So thank you so much for that work. You could all be seated. As we've discussed over the last several years, we've worked intentionally to strengthen every part of our homeless response system. Today we have record levels of shelter beds and housing units. We've launched new programs focused on housing stabilization and homeless prevention. And yes, tomorrow we are bringing a recommendation to build a new housing navigation center. We built stronger partnerships. We've demanded greater accountability. And we've made targeted investments in solutions that we know work. And because of that, more people in Austin are getting housed. They're getting help, and they're getting put on a path to stability than ever before. The results that you'll see today reflects how our system is maturing, how it's adapting and responding to the needs of our community in real time. But I want to note that we're not simply expanding capacity. We're how we deliver care, how we measure and evaluate our impact, and how we ensure that every dollar and every partnership moves us closer to our goals. Those of us in this work have a vision that remains clear, and that's to ensure everyone in Austin and Travis County has access to stable housing and the support that they need to thrive. And we're seeing the foundation of that vision take shape today with new housing opportunities, faster placement rates, and fewer people falling into the despair of homelessness for the first time in many years. But even with all this progress that we've made, we know that there's still more work for us to do. Too many people are on our streets waiting. Too many still lack the support that they need to turn that corner and get out of homelessness. Our progress demands our persistence, and it demands our continued investment in what we know works. I know that Austin is a community that refuses to accept homelessness as inevitable, and instead we view it as a tough challenge, but one that we can solve together. That's why our office and our partners will continue to make informed recommendations and launch programs that move us forward in this work. With each new step and each new day, building on our progress and strengthening our capacity to connect people with housing and services quickly and efficiently. So today I'm proud to stand in the presence of our great elected officials, my staff and fellow public servants, our partner agencies, and members of the public for the release of these findings. And I hope that you leave today with a sense of hope and optimism. Our system is working better. Our partnerships have never been stronger, and these results are undeniable. Change is not only possible, it's happening already. Thank you all for being here today. Matt, thank you and your team for hosting this event this morning.
All right. Thank you, David, for another rousing speech. I'll never forget the point in time. I don't know how you have energy like that. You must have those little at night, because he showed up at 2:30 in the morning and had the whole crowd explode in there, screaming and hollering. So appreciate you, David, very much. So right now, and present the high-level findings of the report. I want to introduce Kate Moore, our Vice President of Strategy for the Homelessness Response System, and Joseph Montano, who is our Director of Research and Evaluation, and they're going to be presenting the report. So welcome, Kate and Joseph.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everybody. We're so excited to be here and to be able to present our findings to you today. As Matt mentioned, I'm Kate Moore. I'm the Vice President of the Homelessness Response System Strategy, and I'm here with Joseph Montano, our Research and Evaluation Director, to give you a brief overview of the report. You'll see some QR codes throughout the room. It is posted today on our website, so we encourage you to go read in depth all of the hard work of our system. So ECHO, as the lead agency for the Austin-Travis County Continuum of Care, we're pleased to be able to present an annual analysis of how our homelessness response system is functioning. This provides accountability for all of us as a community to understand how investments are working, what could be improved, and what investments or changes are needed. We want to emphasize that these numbers reflect real people, our neighbors, who should never have to live or suffer the trauma of living unhoused. To reiterate what Matt said, this report also reflects the hard work of hundreds of people who lead and staff our homelessness response system. These provider agencies take on the challenge every day to support our neighbors through a meal, a bed, a home, and through a human connection. Many of those providers are here today, and we want to thank them for what they do. They are our partners and our allies in this housing justice work. We also want to thank our partnerships with the many funders of this system, large and small, including the City of Austin Homelessness Strategy and Operations Office, I think I did it, the City of Austin's Housing Department, Travis County, Central Health, the Housing Authority of the City of Austin, and countless others of foundations and individuals who fund this important work. All right, so this data reflects information from calendar year 2024, but also looks back at the trends all the way back to 2019 when we can. This analysis is only possible because of the data entry by hundreds of provider staff in our collaborative database, the Homelessness Management Information System, or HMIS. Our goal at ECHO is for this report to inform funders, providers, and the community of the progress, but also the changes and gaps needed to improve the system. So as others have mentioned, we have some good news to share with this report. Investments made by our community have started to show real impact and improvements for people experiencing homelessness. One of the key indicators for us is that fewer people are becoming homeless, slowing that flow into our system. And with the increased scale of the homelessness response system, it is becoming more efficient, as others have mentioned, and the suffering of people experiencing homelessness by housing themselves faster and providing more crisis response options, such as shelter beds and diversion funding. While a lot of progress has been made, there are still people who are overrepresented in our system based on systemic inequities in our society. A lot of work to do. We need to keep growing our system to meet the needs of everyone. Over to Joseph Montano.
There is no singular experience for people experiencing homelessness, and the variety of circumstances people face when experiencing homelessness is vast. This variety is reflected in the types of services that are documented within our homeless management information system. And so the people reflected in this report can include people who stayed in a shelter for a night, people who were housed the entire year through an HRS program, people who got housed in 2024, people who spent the entire year on the streets, and people who are at risk of homelessness but kept their. We acknowledge the diversity of experiences as well as our inability to speak on behalf of all people experiencing homelessness. So the following findings are not meant to define the experience of people experiencing homelessness. Instead, they review the performance of the homelessness response system to understand the remaining needs, gaps, and disparities, and then translate them into actionable recommendations to improve people's lives and end homelessness for everyone in our community. Next slide. Beds and units continue to grow for our system overall. Over the past 5 years, our system has experienced a 108% increase in overall capacity, driven by substantial growth in permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing, and shelter beds. Capacity for rapid rehousing and permanent supportive housing projects has more than doubled during this period. We can see our community's investments in housing and shelter, and this growth in capacity has made way for our system to assist more people experiencing homelessness. Next slide. The number of people who became homeless decreased for the first time in 5 years. Actually, you can go to the next slide, sir. The rate of homelessness, the rate of people becoming homeless for the first time decreased by 5%, and this is the first decrease in our system since 2020. In comparison to the growth of all people served in 2024, the decrease in the rate of first-time homelessness indicates that our system is doing a better job at re-engaging people who have sought services from the HRS in the past. People are still in our system, they're still being engaged, and because of new supportive services like behavioral health, diversion services, health services, street mobile medicine outreach, all of these things mean that people who are normally sitting in the system and just doing a reassessment to be re-engaged are now being engaged through different types of services. And so this growth of supportive and wraparound services funded by the City of Austin, Central Health, HACA, HATC, and all of our other funding partners is creating opportunities for people who are already homeless to re-engage the system. And these efforts to develop affordable housing reduce the number of evictions in our community. Efforts that provide minimal housing assistance to people at risk of homelessness have an important impact on our system. And further investments for programs that reduce inflow into the homelessness response system should be prioritized to capitalize on the trends we are seeing currently. Next slide. Fewer people becoming homeless is promising. Our community, though, can build on this by investing in what we know works. We are reaching more people, we are getting a better understanding of the population and what the needs are, and there is still more work to do. Next slide. There's still work to do to ensure that no one in our community is suffering more than others. Next slide. This includes, for example, that our race demographics still do not match our local census. For example, Black individuals make up only about 9% of the overall Travis County population, and still they account for 1/3 of the homeless population in our homelessness response system. In contrast, white individuals make up almost half of the overall Travis County population, yet only account for 1/4 of the homelessness population. Next slide. The percentage of older adults is decreasing while others are continuing to grow. So the share of older adults over the age of 50 continues to shrink because they are becoming overwhelmed by the growing numbers of younger people within our system. Next slide. And on top of that, the number of people with disabilities continues to grow. Nearly 1,700 more people identify. More than 3/4 of households enrolled in permanent housing programs report at least one disability, while half of people engaged in programs like street outreach, emergency shelter, and coordinated entry also report at least one disability. We know that clients with disabilities have a significant difference in successful outcomes, and it is not only housing providers that have to provide effective program administration for high-needs clients. Initiatives like the M3 Initiative for Street Medicine and our PSH Healthcare Collaborative are great examples of the kinds of work that we can do to better support people with high needs, medical needs, or mental health issues. Next slide. The population of people experiencing chronic homelessness grew by 1,314. Unaccompanied youth grew by 260 people, and veterans grew by 113. And survivors of domestic violence account for 102 people in 2024. Funded services and dedicated supports for these groups are still reflective of the need and will require continued investment. So as we make progress, it is important to maintain a strong understanding of the unmet needs of people with disabilities, elders, people with high medical needs, and HUD-defined target populations like these on the screen, so that way we can better design our homelessness response system with them in mind. More people moved into housing, and this was in particular led by the growth in minimal assistance programs. 3,055 total people were housed in 2024, and many of these needed only a light touch service to end their homelessness. Minimal due to the availability of flexible funding that ends homelessness for people more likely to resolve their homelessness without extensive support. Investments in permanent supportive housing led to an increase of over 80 more people moving into housing in 2024 than 2023. The investments that our community is making across all of our funding partners is working, and we are continuing to house more people year over year. Next slide. In addition to this, higher inventory of beds, units, and shelter and in-housing programs has led to more move-ins, has resulted in shorter wait times. On the screen, you will see the median number of days between someone's housing assessment and the day that they moved into housing, and that number has decreased significantly from 2023 into 2024, so that people who moved into places to live, on average, had about 4 months a quicker time completing their housing journey. The community has made a large investment in site-based permanent supportive housing, with over 1,200 units expected to come online through 2027. And we can see the effect of more beds on the pace people move through our system. Still, there is no shortage of stories from people in our community waiting for much longer. Many people experience homelessness for far longer than this and have to complete multiple CAs before being housed through the HRS, if they are housed at all. Many of our partners in this room I know have had to have many conversations with people. We see the reduction in wait times, we see the increase in move-ins, and there is an opportunity for us to capitalize on this growth so that way we can make sure that everybody in Austin has a place to call home. So with that, there are a lot of findings that you'll follow us along the journey as we continue to do more research to better understand the population, to better understand what we need to do as a system in response. But as a recap, some of the things that are critical to understand from this report is that our system is growing to match the needs of our community. We have more funding and we have more beds, and that means we have more people moving inside. Fewer people are coming to providers for the help for the first time, and investing in prevention and long-term solutions will build on this progress. Next slide. With shorter wait times, although there are still disparities that we need to address. So there is still work to do to ensure that everyone is getting the resources that they need. You know, David brought up the sunrise, and as I was driving in to come to this meeting this morning, as the sun was rising over the city, and I looked at the skyline, it was beautiful. And I thought to myself, this city is beautiful. And what I've taken away from the data that I'm seeing here, and from the partnership that I see in this room, and all of the people who work day in and day out to help those who need help the most, I truly believe that there will be a time within our lifetime soon that everyone can look at the city of Austin and say that it is as beautiful as I saw it this morning. We are making tangible progress, and there is still a lot of work to do, but we will do it together. And there is room for us to grow and room for us to change, and there is already a plan for the investments being made. So we ask for in this time, as a result, continued, so that way we can all aim to effectively end homelessness for everyone in our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph and Kate. Wonderful job laying out the presentation. You know, I want to take just a quick second. We're kind of running on time, which is unreal. To mention that we've talked a lot about partners in the room. We have wonderful partners here from the county, from the city, from our provider partners, you know, from people with lived experience that are here in the room, our funders. You know, there are two funders that we haven't mentioned yet that I want to bring up, and those funders are the state of Texas and the federal government. And you know, we believe that because we have created such a system that can be so dynamic and reactive to the needs in our community, we believe that the state can partner with us. And we believe that the federal government will see what we're doing and wanna invest in Austin. When working at the state legislature this past session, first of all, the government relations people at the city, right? I mean, they're pretty wonderful. I want to take a minute and just acknowledge them really quick. Carrie's team was great. Not only did we educate state legislators on bills that would be harmful to our cause, to make sure that there was some information and data provided with some folks at the state, to look at new investments in mental health care, new investments in substance treatment options for folks. You know, our mayor was able to work closely with the state to bring about a huge investment, $60 million for the Esperanza community to invest more broadly in our emergency response system. These are opportunities that don't exist without these kind of partnerships. People will not invest in a system that they look at and think is spaghetti on the wall. You know, we need to be coordinated, and we need to continue to talk with one voice. And that is one thing I've appreciated about this conversation today, and about all the folks that have done this work together here with us throughout the last year and before. So the last person I get to introduce today is Donna Ware. Donna Ware, I've known for 6 years, is a founding member of the Austin's Homelessness Advisory Council, or AHAC. Donna is active in her faith and in her community. She is a consistent voice of reason and always elevating and highlighting the people most impacted by our system. Donna continues to inspire me and inspire our organization and our community every day. And I'm proud that she is a board member at the Ending Community Homelessness Coalition and at ECHO. So I want to introduce Donna Ware to have some remarks on behalf of our board of directors. Come on up, Donna. You might need to put that microphone down a little bit.
Yes. I thought earlier this morning that I should have told them that I need a step stool so people can see me. I'm honored today to be a part of this, that I was asked to participate in it. I saw the preview of what was going to be shared in the last chart that was shared, and I had to hold back the tears when we were in the meeting, and we got a chance to hear Matt share this, you know, that we are at a place in Austin where we're balancing, you know, we're not 9 years ago on that screen, you know, we're not there anymore. We don't see as many people just in their devastation that we had. We still have them, but we don't have as many. And I'm honored to be a part of that. I'm honored to have been asked to be on the committee. Austin is doing great things. I was so excited to hear that the previous mayor, Mayor Adler, is here today. He's my biggest hero. No smack down to our current mayor, because he's my current hero. But if Mayor Adler had not taken that charge to look at Austin and say, what is really working for us in our city that has us at the state that we are, where we have so many homeless out there, you probably never would have met me. I probably would have died in my homelessness. He had the vision to have Carrie O'Connor, who was the leader of his innovation office that he had when he was in place, to write for that $2.5 million grant. Every city, this is how great Austin is and what we produce, what gets sent into us for us to be able to rise up above where life may take us sometimes. Carrie wrote for that grant, and it was every major city in the United States had someone write. But our offices, the Innovation Office, had Carrie O'Connor, and we won it. And when we won that, then the Austin Homeless Advisory Council was established. And it was established because of what Mayor Adler wanted to know, which is who are we serving? Who are these people? Let's get a group of people. It was 19 of us. Most of us have passed away. I'm one of 6 left. That was in our homelessness. But they brought everybody, they brought in people that represented every part of our infrastructure, you know, from veterans to people who have different problems that had led to them being incarcerated, and now, you know, they're homeless again. And they brought us all together to talk to us, to find out from us, from our living experiences, what's working for you? What system have you tapped into? How did that system function for you? What were the ups? What were the downs? And it was a 2.5-year process, and out of that, I began to see change. I began to see great change because the service providers came in and they would interact with us. The directors over the hospitals came and they interacted with us and they asked us about their policies and how they were running things. And from that, our council began to grow stronger because most of us ended up finding out there's purpose in our suffering. You know, there's purpose. And as we met the service providers and we met these directors, for me, I can't speak for everyone, but my anger lessened, you know, because I'm still one of those that I don't count. I'm insignificant. I'm not a part of the major part because we address addiction. We address addiction in Austin. We deal with our veterans in Austin. You know, we deal with people with mental disabilities. We have all of these different programs that service all the different major issues, but the invisible people, like women like me that I lost my home. I was a full-time minister, and I lost my home, and I became homeless. There were no services for me, but Austin, being who it is, you know, we have what I call, when I look at each one of you all, we have the Highlanders. If you ever remember that show used to come on, there's a movie about it, but it's like these people, and they walk in the room, and they're game changers, and they're not shift changers as much as, well, they kind of are when you think about it. I haven't thought about that. Because, you know, they come from the 1400s, and then now it's 1965, or now it's, you know, it's 2025. But for us, we had Mayor Adler, you know, in 2015, I think, is when we started the AHAC deal. And then now we have Mayor Watson, and he shifted in, and he went to a different purpose. And his purpose is that we're going to do better. We're going to expand. We're going to do more. You know, we're going to get everybody off of the streets. And we see it. We see it. We experience it. It's happening. Have you thought about what the young man said that just finished, that you look at the skyline and it's beautiful, but at one time when you looked at the streets, it wasn't so beautiful. And it wasn't about, it just didn't look right that there were people laying down on the roads, you know, and in the streets and blocking traffic, but it was more that they were people. They're people. Those numbers that you see on the charts, that 2,000, or what was it, 3,000, 6,704, the number, they're people. When I'm in the meetings, I always challenge everyone. It's people that we're working for. So let's do programming that affects the people. And when you have mayoral leadership, like where it was birthed from, to change how Austin does what it does for the homeless, and then it transitioned into you get what we get today. Our system is stable. It's stable. We're not as bad as we were a couple of years ago. But we've got to push. We got to push for what Mayor Watson is wanting us to have. It can't just be him, echoing, to Congress, to our state, to our legislature. It has to be each one of us pushing behind your supervisors, pushing behind, your directors, and encouraging them and letting them know. I love what David Gray did, that he had his people stand, because those are the X-Men. They are my X-Men. They can do stuff, and they have done stuff in Austin that is just phenomenal, I know some of them know me personally, because I'm always calling. I saw these people and they have 5 kids and they're in the bushes and they got a car, and they'll listen. Who does that? Do you know another city where people go out and pick up the homeless and get them into what Austin is doing? That is what Austin did for me in its own way. To say one little thing that I did leave out, the vision of the pro lodges that occurred when COVID hit, somebody in this room had that passion, that thought, like the mayor said, this is our humanity. What we're doing to make all the numbers look good and balanced, it's our humanitarian charge. When they started those pro lodges, and they decided that there was going to be one set that was going to be specifically for people who were chronically ill or critically ill, that's how I end up not being insignificant anymore. That got me housed. I was no longer sleeping in Walmarts or sleeping in my storage or in my car in plush apartment complexes that didn't have real good security systems. I got into a place that was safe. Went through 2 surgeries while I was homeless, not 1, 2 major ones, but I didn't count. But I counted with Austin. I counted because of the leadership in Austin thought about the humans that are behind the numbers. Don't stop.
Well, I mean, that's a great close. But I will say, I got my thunder stolen twice, once by David and once by Donna, because I want to make sure before we leave today, my last request of everybody was to recognize the staff at the Ending Community Homelessness Coalition at ECHO. We are folks that work behind the scenes. Our staff members, not at all the ribbon cuttings or not at all the move-ins. But they wouldn't happen without us. So I want, if you do work at ECHO and you're part of this organization, if you could stand and get your flowers, like David would say, because it's important. Thank you for everything that you do. It's an honor to work. It's an honor to work with you. So that's the end of our presentation. I want to say for media folks, if you're here to do interviews, we have Chase Wright from Hungry Hill, Anthony Jackson with We Can Now, Pastor Bradley with thank you, Indeed Ministries. We have Integral Care, Safe, TOOF. We have Mobile Loaves and Fishes. We have lots of awesome organizations here who are doing the hard work. And so if you want to talk to somebody that's doing hard work and that knows the system from inside and out, grab one of them.